Is there any way I can eat this?
See, that's our fucking problem. We want to fucking eat everything. The whole reason we're taking this is for that exact reason.
That's disgusting. You think I fart in fear?
Day 1. Ready? 3, 2.
Repetitive.
Retatrutide.
Retatrutide.
What is up, YouTube? After me and Tom's first video on Retatrutide, we had a bunch of different questions come in. What is it? How does it work? Is it dangerous? And should we be using it? So instead of going over all different types of opinions, I thought today we could go into the actual clinical trials as well as what we're actually seeing in real time with Tommy firsthand. Now, what is Retatrutide? Retatrutide is a triple hormone agonist that targets the GLP-1, the GIP, and the glucagon receptor. You may have heard of Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro. These primarily target the GLP-1. Retatrutide targets 3 main metabolic pathways, which is why the outcomes from the recent trials are starting to get a lot more attention. Now, how does Retatrutide work? Firstly, we have our GLP-1 agonist, right? GLP-1. And what this is going to provide us is a suppressed appetite. We're going to have slower gastric emptying, and we're going to have improved glucose control. So this is what our GLP-1 is going to provide us. Next, we have our GIP, and this is going to provide energy balance, signaling, and nutrient partitioning. Now, nutrient partitioning is basically your body's ability to obviously consume calories and decipher where those calories are going to go, where they're going to be sent. Now, if you have poor nutrient partitioning, a higher percentage of those calories are going to be going to get stored as fat. If we have great nutrient partitioning levels, a lot of the carbohydrates or the glucose being consumed is going to be sent and stored in the muscle and obviously used for energy with training performance and recoverability. Now, lastly, we have the glucagon agonist. So we've got a glucagon, and this one's quite important compared to the rest and kind of what separates Retatrutide from the other GLP-1s, because this helps ensure that we maintain a high uptake in energy expenditure. So it basically ensures that you're able to maintain a high degree of energy output. And lastly, it's also going to help ensure that fat is more readily available for fuel. So we can say fat oxidation, right? The body is able to use fat for energy more simply as opposed to prioritizing carbohydrates or glucose. Moving on. Now, from clinical trials so far, we've seen some of the most aggressive weight loss outcomes ever recorded from medication. We're talking double-digit body weight reductions in controlled environments. We're seeing significant appetite suppression, improved metabolic markers, improved glucose control, but trials are controlled. Participants are monitored, nutrition is structured, behavior is supported. The real world is different. That doesn't mean that these trials don't hold weight. I'm going to take you guys through some of the numbers here. Of 338 adults of who were enrolled, 51.8% of them of whom were men, the mean percentage or the average percentage of change in body weight at 24 weeks out in the Retatrutide group was 7.2% in the 1 milligram group. Of those who were taking 4 milligrams, there was a 12.9% body fat loss. So we can see here there isn't a huge difference between the 8 milligram group and the 12 milligram. Now, from anecdotal evidence grabbed from both my own personal use with Retatrutide and abundance of clients that I've also worked with who have used Retatrutide, I've never had to titrate above 2 milligrams. I've heard of people obviously titrating on a weekly basis, 1 milligram, 2 milligram, 3 milligram, 4 milligram, etc., based upon what we've seen in the trials here. However, I think it's important to note that when we are looking to titrate, we should be titrating for a reason. We don't just titrate because that's what they did in the clinical trials. You gotta remember that in these trials, they are simply looking to find specific outcomes as they continue to titrate numbers up. Pushing until you see side effects is completely unnecessary. We need to keep in mind exactly what the desired outcome is here, what the goal is, right? Now, if we're simply trying to suppress appetite and gain nutritional control, add some additional structure into our lifestyle, I think making adjustments based upon your biofeedback per week is probably the most smartest approach. Now, Remember, we don't have long-term evidence on retatrutide. Not to say that's not going to come, it certainly will. But because we don't have this long-term data, I think trying to get the most out of the least is probably the best approach possible. Now, the big question, is retatrutide dangerous? Well, I think the most important thing to state here is the fact that we don't have any long-term outcome data. However, some of the most commonly reported side effects from GLP-1 medications are nausea, gastrointestinal discomfort, and of course, reduced appetite. And if we refer back to these phase 2 studies, what we can see in terms of the most common adverse events during the retatrutide groups were gastrointestinal, and these were all dose related, most commonly mild, which I would say is referring more to that nausea that a lot of people experience, to obviously moderate in severity. Now, these were particularly mitigated with lower starting dosages, say 2 milligrams versus 4 milligrams, and dose-dependent increases in heart rate peaked at 24 weeks and declined thereafter. So I also see this commonly anecdotally, right, both within myself and obviously clients and who I've worked with and monitored during their use of retatrutide, is that as they tend to titrate up, especially when titrating up fast, this is when they start to run into these side effects of most commonly nausea. I haven't really seen anything else outside of nausea thus far. However, that's not to say that won't come, because there are still some unknown outcomes that may come in the future with long-term data. Things like psychological reliance, metabolic adaptation, and even muscle preservation. Now, I do believe that if you're able to ensure that you're still consuming sufficient protein numbers and maintaining a degree of resistance training, you're then going to be able to preserve lean tissue. However, that hasn't actually clinically been proven just yet. So with no long-term outcome data, unknowns still exist. Things like, are people going to psychologically be reliant on this medication? Are we going to see long-term metabolic adaptation issues? Are we going to see a lot of people struggle with muscle preservation throughout their use of retatrutide? Now, look, I think, yes, we are going to see people lose a bunch of muscle tissue on retatrutide, especially if they are not approaching it with structure. Anecdotally, of what I've done personally myself, and as I've monitored clients who have decided to jump on retatrutide, is obviously prioritize protein consumption. Now, if someone's unable to eat, we ensure they're still consuming upwards of 2 grams per kilogram of lean body mass in protein, and we're also ensuring that they are completing a minimum of 3 resistance training sessions per week. It's my belief that with this approach, we should be able to maintain or preserve lean muscle tissue. However, that has not yet clinically been proven. So in terms of is it dangerous, I think what I'm gonna leave you guys with is any tool that strongly alters your appetite or your energy balance is to be respected. It's not a toy, and it's certainly not something that should be treated like a shortcut. Now, Tommy is 12 days in on his retatrutide journey.
Anyway, 5 kgs down in 12 days on retatrutide. How are you feeling so far, Tommy?
Great. The ladies are noticing too.
Ooh.
The ladies are noticing.
He has started off with 1 milligram, and as appetite started to return towards the end of week 1, we then titrated up to 2 milligrams, where now he is feeling extremely satiated and certainly struggling to get his food in. We're noticing huge behavioral shift with his outlook on food, his desires, and his overall routine structure. Now, with that being said, Tommy is struggling to get food in altogether. So we've had to heavily prioritize protein within his nutrition, ensuring that that gets consumed first and foremost before we're able to add in any other additional macros or micronutrients. On top of that, we're also taking a few other micronutrient supplements just to ensure that he is getting in all essential vitamin and minerals. And secondly, to protein, fiber is also something that we are prioritizing to ensure that bowel function stays regular and frequent as well. Now, I'll throw you guys up a quick clip of where I've asked Tommy some of these questions, and he can give you his perspective and his experience on retatrutide.
Appetite changes. Further, give me just a real quick brief on how that's been over the past 12 days.
I had chicken. I had 250 grams of chicken and 300 grams of mixed veggies. Chinese mixed veggies,
Yep.
right? I had that with a Coke Zero. I was full. I couldn't even finish it.
Right.
That is almost, in my life ever, that has never been a thing, ever.
Yep.
I've
You could
never
smash food easy.
I could smash that easy and then have a burger afterwards and then be like full.
Yeah. Would you say that appetite has progressively reduced over the 12 days, or
Yes.
did it instantly reduce and nothing's changed since?
No, it's progressively reduced.
Okay.
Because
So from that first shot, it reduced a bit and then just got more progressive.
yes, I can eat sweets because I've had like maybe 1 or 2 sweets here and there.
Yep.
But it doesn't hit the same kind of brain functions that it did before.
Okay, cravings. What are they like comparatively to that first shot of Retatrutide 12 days ago?
So before Reta, it was just the same. Like I could smash some KFC and not look the other way.
Yep.
Now I don't even think about it. There's no noise. Occasionally I feel like smashing some GYG.
So cravings have reduced. Like you basically don't think, oh, I want this all the time.
I had a singular biscuit, and I'm like, it did nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just didn't excite you. All right, and energy, which I think is a big one. So one thing that I think a lot of people get wrong with Retatrutide is they misunderstand that it actually helps enhance energy as well.
Yes.
Part of
Because
the
it's using your fat.
yeah, well, it obviously helps mobilize or oxidize fat, which is what drives higher energy. A lot of people think, oh, he's going to be eating less, he'll just simply move less. So my question for you, what's your energy been like? Has it crashed? Have you noticed anything around a reduction in energy, or has it elevated, or just remained the same?
No, it has elevated.
Training, well, from what I just noticed on that set there, it's literally
I'll just go back to that last one.
Yep.
Sleep is very, very important.
100%. But that's in all cases. I think another thing that's misconstrued about consuming any form of a peptide or support tool is the fact that you can, a lot of people start to think you can neglect basics or fundamentals. You absolutely cannot.
Yes.
These are supportive tools that you bring in with fundamentals, with nutrition, with training, with sleep, with hydration.
Yes.
So 100% sleep is very important.
100%.
Training, I can speak on and say that your training is elevated, for sure. Since starting your journey 12 days ago, what has surprised you the most?
The appetite suppressor.
Yeah, like you obviously hear it, you get told it, but I think when you experience it, it's like, whoa.
It's how the hell are you hijacking something that I haven't been able to control my whole life?
You've struggled with. And this is a huge thing that I think is so fucking important when a lot of these people are going,
I'm amazed at the science.
when everyone's going, it's not TGA approved, it's not FDA approved, but it's like, yes, not yet, it will be. But also everyone's going, this could be dangerous. Well, guess what? Being obese, being overweight, struggling with weight,
10,000 times more dangerous.
your entire life, which we do have studies on, leads to high chances of cardiovascular disease and
death.
And inherently death. That is far more dangerous than
a pedophile. No, I'm kidding.
than a peptide. Close. But no, I agree. I think the biggest surprise for myself as well with utilizing Retatrutide is certainly just how well it does suppress your appetite.
Absolutely. And it is great for people, even for people that aren't obese. I'm
not obese. It just helps me control staying in shape.
But not just that. But even people who want to cut and get fucking super lean,
Well, the biggest limiting factor of that for every single person is while we may not struggle with hunger, cravings, and discipline around food as much as someone like yourself or people who have struggled with obesity, we still struggle with hunger. It's still a real fucking pain in the ass.
Yes.
So
100%.
to remove that limiting factor now and have this peptide,
literally a magical drug.
what's been harder than you expected?
You know what? Eating.
The opposite, right?
Opposite.
Yeah,
No,
eating.
eating, trying to stay on plan. I mean, I had fuck all yesterday. I tried so hard to keep in my protein and then I just went to bed. Kind of thing. I was like, oh fuck, I can't be bothered cooking.
All right, what's been easier? Which is a pretty silly question, but saying no to food?
Yes, 100%. That and also just walking around.
Yeah,
I can
you're
walk
lighter,
around.
man.
100% like walking around. It's so much fun.
Now guys, I would like to finish with no supplement or medication is going to change your behavior. It can support it, it can accelerate it, but without structure, the results simply won't last. Now, over the next 8 weeks, I'm documenting exactly what happens with Tommy and his Retatrutide journey and just how much weight we're able to lose on that journey. We do obviously have some incentives in play for Tommy. If he drops 20 kilos over the 8-week period and gets under 100 kilos, which he would have for the first time since high school, I'm going to give him $5,000. However, each week he needs to complete a challenge, and if he is unable to complete said challenge, he loses $500 off the potential $5,000 prize at the end. At the moment, he's nailed every single challenge. So please support Tommy on his journey, comment on his videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more content in the gym around food and peptides.